Hello there, boys and girls. Welcome to Lesson 4.3, Multiplication with Decimals and Whole Numbers. Our essential question for today is, how can you use place value to multiply a decimal and a whole number? Please open up your Go Math book to Lesson 4.3 and let's begin. Now let's take a look at question 1 for you. They went ahead and showed you that you can find the product with multiplying and with decimals. If you look right here, we want to think the place value of the decimal factor is tenths. That's the hint they're giving you. In other words, in your decimal answer, it goes to the tenths place. Therefore, my answer should go to the tenths place. So if I have 4 times 7 tenths, it's going to be 28 hundredths. So we're going to regroup our 2 tenths and drop down our 8 hundredths. Now we're going to multiply 4 times 2 wholes is 8 wholes, plus 2 more is 10 wholes. Now remember, the place value of the decimal factor goes to the tenths place, right here. So we need to make sure that our product goes to the tenths place as well. So let's take a look at question 2 together. Question 2 says 7 6/10 times 8 wholes. Let's take a look and see that our decimal factor goes to the tenths place. So we want to make sure that our product goes to the tenths place as well. So let's begin. If I have 8 groups of 6/10, that would be 8 times 6. I would have 48 tenths. So I can regroup that. I can have 48 tenths. Now let's multiply our whole numbers. 8 times 7 is 56, plus 4 more is 60 wholes. Now remember, our product should go to the tenths place because we had 48 tenths, and we regrouped 40 of those tenths into our wholes to make 4 wholes. All right, so we should have 60 and 8 tenths as our product. Now I'm just going to ask you, does our answer make sense? Is it reasonable? So I'm going to use my estimation strategy. I'm going to say 7 6/10 is really close to 8 wholes. And if I had 8 times 8, that would equal 64. Now, I do know that 7 6/10 is less than 8 wholes, so my product should be less than 64 wholes. It is less than 64 wholes, so we did great on this question. Let's move on. Let's take a look at question number 4. Number 4 says 8 42 hundredths times 9. So looking at our factor, we know it goes to my hundredths place. So my product should have hundredths in the answer. Let's begin by multiplying our hundredths. I have 9 times 2 hundredths is 18 hundredths. Remember, you can regroup and make one group of a tenth and have 8 hundredths left over. Now let's multiply our tenths. 9 times 4 tenths. 9 times 4 is 36, plus that one extra group that we 1/10 that we regrouped would be 9 times 4 is 36, plus 1 more is 37. We're going to have to regroup because you can't fit 37 in my tenths place down below. So I have 37 tenths. I'm going to put my decimal place there because I'm done with my tenths place. And now let's multiply our whole numbers. 9 times 8 is 72. 72 plus those 3 wholes that we regrouped. 72 plus 3 is 75 wholes. All right, let's see if our answer is reasonable. 8 42 hundredths is pretty close to 8. So let's go ahead and just call that 8. 8 times 9 is 72. But remember, this is greater than 8 wholes. So our answer or our product needs to be greater than 72. And it is. It's 75 and 78 hundredths. Therefore, our answer is reasonable. Okay, let's try number 6 together. It's 23 82 hundredths times 5. So let's start by knowing that our product should go to the hundredths place because in my decimal, it goes to the hundredths. So I'm going to go ahead and begin by multiplying my hundredths. If I have 5 groups of 2 hundredths, that would be 10 hundredths. And we've learned 10 hundredths equals 1/10. So we're going to carry our 1 into our tenths place and drop down my 0 hundredths left over. Now let's multiply our tenths. 5 groups of 8 tenths I know is 40 tenths, plus that one that we regrouped would call 41 tenths. So let's go ahead and regroup I can't fit 41 tenths in my tenths place. I'm going to put my decimal point right there. Do that along with me. Okay, now let's do our whole number. 5 times 3 wholes is 15 wholes, plus those 4 wholes we regrouped from our tenths would be 19 wholes. I can't fit 19 in my ones place, so let's go ahead and regroup one group of 10 and put our 9 ones in my ones place. And now we can do our tens place. 5 groups of 2 tens, 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 more would be 11 tens. So I can just put 11 down there, because remember, 11 tens really has a value of 110. And that's why we have 119 and 10 hundredths. I know my answer is reasonable, because if I were to just round this down to 20, I would know that 20 times 5 is 100. And of course, this is greater than 20, so my product should be greater than 100. And it is, so my answer is reasonable. All right, friends, for number 8, it's written horizontally, but don't let that stop you. Go ahead and just rewrite it as 7 and 9 tenths times 3. And now we can go ahead and multiply. Let's go ahead and start by multiplying our tenths place. Remember, my factor goes to the tenths place, so my product needs to go to the tenths place as well. If I have 3 groups of 9 tenths, that's going to be 27 tenths, because 9 times 3 is 27. Now I know it's going to be 27 tenths. I'm going to go ahead and just put my decimal point there for my tenths place. I went ahead and regrouped my 2 wholes into my whole category, because remember, I had 20 tenths. And 10 tenths is 1 whole, so 20 tenths is 2 wholes. That's why we put the 2 up above. Now let's go ahead and multiply my whole numbers. I have 3 times 7 is going to be 21, plus 2 more is 23 wholes. Let's go ahead and estimate, just to make sure our answer is reasonable and makes sense. 7 and 9 tenths is really close to 8 wholes. I'm going to call that 8 wholes, because it's just 1/10 away from it. 8 times 3 is 24 wholes. Let's look down at our product. Are we really close to 24 wholes? Yes, we are. In fact, if we were to round 7 tenths up to the next whole, we would have 24. So our answer is reasonable. All right, let's go ahead and move on to question number 10. Go ahead and set up question number 10 as 2 6 tenths times 8. Now stop and think. My factor goes to the tenths place, so think about where your product should go to. Press pause, and I want you to solve this problem. Let's see if our answers agree. All right, boys and girls, you should have said that if I have 8 groups of 6 tenths, that's going to be 48 tenths. So I'm going to go ahead and have my product go to my tenths place. We regrouped 4 wholes because remember, 48 tenths is the same thing as 4 wholes and 8 tenths. Now let's go ahead and look at our whole numbers. If I have 8 times 2, you should have said 16, plus 4 more wholes would be 20 wholes. Does our answer make sense? Let's find out. I can see that let's go ahead and estimate 8 times 2 6 tenths. It would either be between 8 times 2, which is 16, or 8 times 3, which is 24. Does our answer fall between 16 and 24 wholes? Yes, it does. So our answer is reasonable. Okay, friends, let's take a look at number 12. Number 12 says 9 times 1 and 4 hundredths. Let's go ahead and write it like this. I want you to press pause and see if your answer will match mine. Go ahead and press pause now. Okay, for this one, you should have said that you have 9 groups of 4 hundredths. So 9 times 4 is 36 hundredths. We can't fit 36 hundredths in the hundredths place, so we're going to regroup and have 3 tenths and 6 hundredths. Now we have 9 times 0 tenths. Would be 0 tenths. However, because we regrouped those 30 hundredths and made 3 tenths, we can now add back in those 3 tenths. So let's go ahead and put 3 tenths down here. And now let's multiply our whole number. We have 9 groups of 1 whole would be 9 wholes. Now let's look back into our factor. It goes to the hundredths place. Therefore, our product needs to go to the hundredths place as well. So I'm going to put a decimal point right there to show that we have 9 and 36 hundredths. And that answer makes sense because this should be rounded to one whole. 1 times 9 is 9. So we should have about 9 wholes, as well as 36 hundredths. All right, let's take a look at question 15. It says, a half-dollar coin issued by the United States Mint measures 30 and 61 hundredths millimeters across. Mick has 9 half-dollars. He lines them up end to end in a row. What is the total length of the row of half-dollars? So we're looking at the total length across. We know he has 9 of them, and each one is 30 and 61 hundredths. Let's go ahead and set up our equation, and then you may press pause to find your answer, and let's see if our answers agree. Go ahead and press pause now. All right, everyone, for this one you should have said 9 times 100th is 9 hundredths. 9 times 6 tenths is 54 tenths, because 9 times 6 is 54. I cannot fit 54 tenths in my tenths place, therefore I will need to just regroup and make 5 wholes and 4 tenths left over. So now let's multiply the whole number. We have 9 times 0 is 0 wholes, but remember we regrouped and made 5 wholes. So let's put 5 down here. And then 9 times 3 tens is 27 tens. All right, let's go ahead and look. We have 2 places in our factor that goes to the hundredths place right there. So we should have our product go to the hundredths place. I know my answer is reasonable because if I were to round this just to 30, 30 times 9 is 270. And that's pretty close to my answer or my product. So therefore my answer is reasonable. And for question 16, it says 1 pound of grapes costs $3.49. Linda buys exactly 3 pounds of grapes. How much will the grapes cost? Go ahead and work this one out on your own. Press pause and we'll check together. Okay, for this question, you should have said that she spent $10.47. And I know my answer is reasonable because 3 times 3 wholes is 9 wholes. And of course, this is greater than 3 wholes. So therefore, my product needs to be greater than 9 wholes. I hope our answers matched up. Okay, let's flip it to the back side now. Go ahead and work on the back side of your Go Math page. Questions 1 and 2, those are the 2 that are just like our lesson, and then 3 through 6 are review problems from previous lessons. Make sure that you show your work on this. I will be looking when I come around to see if you showed your work, as well as did you rate yourself at the top of the page. Please write down number 1 if you're a novice, number 2, apprentice, 3, a practitioner, or 4, you're an expert. And here are your problems. Again, take your time, show your work, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye-bye.